Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday. How's everyone doing? Today's topic, we're going to talk about artificial intelligence, or known as AI, and talking about its impact on the labor market. And we might have some gloom and doom type of things to say here, but we'll hopefully provide a little bit of light throughout. Starting out though, I want to get an understanding about the history or of AI. And Jason, I know this is something dear to your heart, so I thought I'd have you start and give us a brief history of AI.
Thanks, Eliot. I appreciate it. I think AI, is something that now everybody's focusing on because of, Chat GPT, generative AI, and, the general public is realizing the power and the potential of artificial intelligence. However, it has been around for a while. It's been around, since let's say the 80s, and then, especially started picking up steam in the 90s. I think one of the events that happened that we should have been paying attention to that we really didn't was in 1997. Gary Kasparov, who was the world chess champion, he lost to IBM's Deep Blue. And I remember watching the video and watching him lose. And it was a combination of shock and physical pain. I mean, he was really in disbelief that he had lost, really basically to the first time, chess to a computer. And when I say lost for the first time, I mean lost for the first time. This was a man who his whole life was the best, and he didn't think he could lose, and then he lost to a computer. And I think while it was a shock to him at the time, it should have been a shock to the world and a wake up call to the rest of us. Then you fast forward to 2016, the world Go champion, Lee Sedol, lost the game of Go to Google's AlphaGo AI program. And where chess has 20 possible opening moves, Go has 361 possible opening moves. And I remember watching Lee Sedol lose to AlphaGo, and it was the same look that Gary Kasparov had. It was that shock, disbelief, and almost physical pain. And I think that is indicative of what we're going to experience as a society. Collectively, we're going to experience a little bit different way. That's what brings us to the topic of today is the impact of AI on the labor market. Because, a lot of us, if we've been successful in our careers, we've thought our whole lives that we were the best at what we do. Whether you were the top graduate at Harvard and, had wonderful jobs and promotions your whole career, or, whether just found your kind of, specialty field and you've been doing really well at it, we're going to find out that a computer can do it better. It's just reality. If you look at what happened to Lee Sedol and why he lost, he was going against an artificial intelligent brain that was able to simulate 1 million different Go games within a second as it was playing against him. Humans can't compete with that. And I think we can say to ourselves, well, AI is limited in what it can do. And I would tell you that it's not. Because with the advent of and the advancement of robotics, what you're soon going to have is a superhuman brain connected to a superhuman body that has unbelievable intellectual strength and unbelievable physical strength. And somebody could say, well, there's those jobs that need, empathy and compassion, like a psychologist. And I will tell you that AI can fake empathy and compassion better than a real psychologist can have empathy and compassion. Just because humans are capable of empathy and compassion doesn't mean that they're really going to be able to display it properly, even if they're getting paid for it. You now tie in a human voice to something that has all the knowledge in the world in front of it regarding psychology, regarding empathy, regarding passion, regarding every human emotion. And you're going to have these super intelligent entities that are able to feign empathy and compassion. And because of that, they're going to be able to help mankind, but they're also potentially going to be able to manipulate. mankind. Oh, just one last kind of thought before I turn it back over to you, Eliot, about something else that we have to deal with in the future, something called AI agents, where you now have this AI brain that's able to utilize AI agents, potentially millions of them, to go do tasks for the AI brain. And you can almost compare it to the AI brain being the CEO of the company and the AI agents being a million different workers. But these million different workers, you don't have to give them health insurance. They don't take bathroom breaks. They don't get sick. They work 24/7. And once you make the initial investment, you never have to, really pay for them again. They don't eat food, you don't have to buy pizza parties for them. You just have to give them electricity and data. And then they'll do everything that humans can do and much, much more. So those are my thoughts on
Yeah. Well,
where we are right now.
thanks for giving us kind of a high level view of the history of AI, where it's come from. I'm glad that you stated that it's not a new thing. It's been around for years. It just evolved, and it's evolving quite quickly. Want to talk a little bit more in terms of I'll give some examples, and then maybe you can provide some additional ones. But in terms of how AI is being applied today. So you've kind of given the history of it, but how is it being applied today? You talked about the agents being one area of development that is a potential risk of replacing or making humans obsolete in terms of being in the workforce. Some other things are like, content editing. I think I speak to a lot of copywriters and people that are looking for jobs in, content editing or copywriting or even marketing jobs that are, their bread and butter is coming up with creative content, right? They are basically shaking in their pants about this in terms of the effects of what AI can do today in terms of basically generating content that could then, be utilized in, campaigns like with Google campaigns or, advertisements. It's just you don't need as large number of people working in a group because you have AI now that can basically generate a lot of the content for you. A lot of engineers are also scared. Working in IT, I'm in contact with a lot of people. A lot of the engineers are, standing their ground and saying AI is not going to replace us. We're here to stay. But the harsh reality is, I think, is that a lot of companies are going to see the benefit of AI and know that they don't need as large of a workforce. So you're going to see smaller teams in place that are going to be using, AI more. They're going to be using Copilot, which is the AI generation tool that's used for various software development packages. Like with Git has Copilot. Microsoft has a Copilot companion that's used for development as well in the Windows environment. So I guess what I'm saying is that today it's being used a lot more, and there is this fear of replacement that's going on. But what are your thoughts? What other things have you seen or think about when you're thinking about how it's being applied today? Like how is AI being used in today?
I think companies are scrambling to figure out how to utilize it. I think this happened just in the last year or two, that just society realized how powerful generative AI is. And the fact that now, we've gone from something before where, in chess, you're just teaching the computer the rules of the game and they're playing the game, to now with generative AI, they're able to identify pattern, the AI is able to identify patterns in existing data. And through that, they can generate new content. So for the first time, you have an AI that's actually creating new ideas. And with that, every company's thinking, okay, how are we going to utilize this great technology to replace workers? I think people have to be realistic about what corporations do, how corporations make money. Corporations make money by reducing expenses.
Hmm.
Corporations have mission statements that you read through the mission statement, and the only thing that really matters is add shareholder value. Everything else is just fluff. So a corporation and the investors don't care about the well-being of the workers. The whole idea is to get rid of the workers and have a low-cost entity do the work for the company. That's what's going to make the company productive. That's what's going to make the stock price go up. So eventually, everybody is going to have to, meaning everybody, all these companies are going to have to show the shareholders that all the talk that they've been doing on the earnings calls about AI is going to actually pay off. And the way to do that is to create AI agents that are going to replace workers. Now, why is that dangerous? It should be obvious because in a very short period of time, you could have 30% of Americans literally out of work. And right now, our government and our society has no way to take care of these displaced people. I mean, it will be a disruption to society like we've never experienced before. It's almost inconceivable. And at the end of the day, you may end up with a situation where if there's enough chaos, you could have AI actually running the government for us. People might choose that out of desperation just because they need order.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Jason. I think what we're seeing now is this movement from innovation to efficiency. In IT and its history, it's focused for so many years on innovating, on beating the competition out, beating China out or other countries, beating each other out in companies who can get to the marketplace first in terms of what their new shiny program or gadget or product's going to do. But in recent years, over the last 2 to 3 years, especially with AI coming on scene, the move has been more towards focusing on efficiencies, which goes to your point that companies are going to be looking at reducing their workforce for something that's going to be more cost effective, which is like the AI agents that you speak about. But I did come across some really hairy, scary statistics, and I'm trying to validate it at this time. So I don't want to be, spreading too much doom. But what you're saying about the percentage of people being unemployed or potentially displaced by the technology, a stat that I came across was in the next 5 years, they're looking at about 100,000 jobs being added by AI. So people that like AI modelers, so content people could find an opportunity if they want to. They could pursue being a content modeler within an AI system because you are going to need some human intervention in terms of maintaining and evolving these AI systems or models. So about 100,000 jobs in the next 5 years are looking at, programming models, adding content in, training, the AI, adding in more features. Like right now, ChatGPT allows you the ability to create your own voice with it. So you're training that AI to be a mirror of who you are. But who's to say that it's going to, more features are going to be added on. So you're going to need people to do those things. But on the converse of that, I also saw that about 85,000 jobs will be displaced or become obsolete based upon AI integration. So if you look at those two stats, you have a lot of people that are being displaced or becoming obsolete and only maybe 15-20% over that are being added on as new jobs within AI. So it's not on the surface, you're looking at, okay, great, more jobs are being created, but what is the impact? We're looking at jobs being made obsolete.
Yeah, I
So
think where numbers are a little bit, scary just in general to talk about this problem in terms of numbers is it doesn't take into account the individual person that's being affected. So let's just talk about one segment of society, the trucking industry. If that's automated or the majority of it is automated, that's, that's over 1 million truckers out of work. And then everybody that's, services that industry, the truck stops, everybody else, right? The repair shops, well, the repair shops might be different because we're talking about a whole new technology, but the truck stops, the hotels, whatever the case may be, that's it. They're going to be affected by this transition, and those individual people are not going to take the new jobs. Those people are just going to be out of work. They're
mhm.
not the people who are going to be trained to be, the AI ethicists or the content creators or whatever the new jobs, that are created are going to demand. those are going to be people potentially coming out of MIT that have been studying this, right? It's going to be very competitive for those new jobs. And then what do we do about all the people that are going to lose their jobs? I'm not just talking about the truck drivers. I'm talking about every aspect of society, all within a window possibly of 5 years. There's just going to be no way to get meaningful work for those people. And our society and our government is not set up right now to provide any sort of universal basic income. So you are going to have just, a terrible recession, depression, mass homelessness, and chaos. And nobody's talking about it. At the Harris Trump presidential debate, I mean, they spent almost 2 hours insulting each other, but they didn't discuss AI once.
Right.
And other important economic issues weren't touched on. And so we're going to really be blindsided, just like Kasparov and Lee Sedol were blindsided when they lost to the computers. We as a society are going to lose to computers, and we should be ready for it, but we're not.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. Thinking of kind of the challenges of it, are there things that you think of that, well, are there any positive lights that can come out of this? So it definitely does seem like a very doom and gloom situation that we are portraying, which is, and I absolutely agree. I think it's going to have a devastating impact, and people are not being as aware or choose to be delusional in terms of what the impacts are going to be. I mean, there's a whole mess of things that need to happen, right? In terms of like even the ethical and the philosophical usage of AI. We are not prepared for that. I mean, there's been only a few government hearings, like with OpenAI company, to talk about like the philosophical and the principle and the ethical considerations related to AI, but that needs to be done broader and more often for us to figure out like what is the ethical, implications of using AI. I mean, we're focusing today's topic on what is its impact on the labor market, which is pretty decimating if you look at, what's going to be happening in the next few years. I mean, there's a lot of people that just don't have that computer savviness to be able to react or be part of that world. But what are things that you think of as kind of a silver lining that we can maybe share with our viewers in terms of like what could be done, what avenues could people explore? I just want to know your thoughts.
For sure. I'm glad you brought that up because I think there is a silver lining. And I mean, this may sound strange, but while there's been a lot of tech layoffs recently, I think in hindsight, the people who have recently been laid off in the tech industry may be the lucky ones. And I'll explain what I mean by that. Because the people who are currently laid off are now having to re-examine their lives and what it means to be productive and how they're going to earn money going forward. I think many of these folks are going to realize the power of AI that they can utilize to create their own low-cost businesses and have all those AI agents work for them. I think people are going to look inside themselves and ask themselves, well, what am I really good at? If I can't rely on a big corporation to employ me anymore, how am I going to make money? And they're going to start to examine, software like ChatGPT, video content creation software. I was playing around with Visla the other day. I know there's something called Midjourney that creates art. There's so many tools that are available to us right now that if we start digging into them and we start thinking about, what do we bring to the world? What are we good at? What am I good at that I can help the world, that I can make money? All of a sudden, we have all these tools available to us where we don't need to hire employees. We can have the AI agents work for us. And I mean, I can just give one simple example. Like right now, I'm going, through a certification to become certified to teach English as a foreign language. So how can I utilize technology for that? Well, maybe one day, right, I can utilize the metaverse. And I am a believer in the metaverse that we can, utilize AI and avatars who can speak 100 different languages to then teach people from all over the world in whatever language. These avatars will speak perfect English, perfect French, whatever, right? They're going to have that perfect pair that they're going to be the perfect teacher, and AI is going to help us get there. Maybe I can set up a business where I can teach people English all over the world. I'm maybe not going to be doing it myself all the time. Maybe my AI agent avatar is going to do it. That's just one example. If we really stop and think about what interests us, I think we're going to find ways with very little investment to really get on top of AI and make it profitable for ourselves so that we never have to rely on big corporations that don't care about us again.
Well, Jason, I do appreciate your viewpoint on that as well. So, to everyone out there, we really appreciate your time today. I think this is a topic that might split out into other areas. I know it's a pretty big topic to talk about, um, but it's something that needs to be talked more about. So, Jason, I appreciate your time today, and to our viewers, appreciate your time checking us out. Hope you
Thanks,
all have
Elliot.
a good
Thanks,
day.
everybody.
Thanks.